When the fight or flight response is prolonged, other physiological mechanisms of the stress response are brought into play. The fight or flight response is mediated by the autonomic nervous system. The stress response affects two other major body systems, the immune system and the endocrine system, which includes all the glands in our body, such as the pituitary, the adrenal, and the sex glands. Stress was first named by the physician and scientist Hans Selye in the 1930s. Selye defines stress as the sum of the wear and tear on the organism. What the definition implies is that stress can come from any source, and that it may be different for different people. Stress can be emotional, tension in a marriage. It can be physical, starvation or extreme pain. It can also be spiritual, a persistent sense that life has lost its meaning. And it can be related to the job, always worrying whether you're doing the right thing or pleasing your boss. Some situations, such as confinement in a tight space or incessant loud noise, are stressful for just about everybody, but I suppose not if you're young partying away in a club. Other situations are stressful for some people and not for others. Imagine having to talk with people 16 hours a day, to smile at them and shake hands thousands of times. For many people, this would be quite stressful. For former President Bill Clinton, it looked like a walk in the park. Hans Selye said that the stress response has three stages. It begins with the alarm stage, our conscious perception of stress. As that perception is communicated to the cortex of our brain, it stimulates fear and anxiety. From there, impulses are sent to the hypothalamus and then to the endocrine and immune, as well as the autonomic nervous system. In the alarm stage, Selye showed that there is an outpouring of cortisol, that's the stress hormone of the adrenal gland, and an increase in the size of the adrenal. At the same time, there's a shrinking of the lymph nodes and the thymus, both organs of the immune system. The second stage is adaptation, in which all the other systems in the body do their best to accommodate the ongoing stress. Finally, if adaptation is unsuccessful, comes the third stage, exhaustion. Many of us who are under chronic stress are living in a prolonged state of adaptation, verging on exhaustion. We have high levels of circulating stress hormones, of cortisol, in our blood. We have rising blood sugar and a rise in insulin, so the cells in our body can appropriately use the sugar. And we have decreasing immune response. Meanwhile, our LDL, or bad cholesterol, is also increasing. All of these, you can well imagine, can have a significant impact on our health. Persistent fast heart rate and high blood pressure may certainly contribute to a variety of forms of heart disease. Stress decreases immune response in a variety of ways, partly through the mediation of cortisol and partly through the direct action of the hypothalamus. A number of scientific studies have shown this decreased immune response is a significant factor in the onset of infectious diseases. We know, for example, from the work of Janice Kiecolt-Glaser and her husband Ronald Glaser at The Ohio State University, that a normal population, medical students, who experience exam time stress are more likely to develop infections later. And the work of Carnegie Mellon researcher Sheldon Cohn shows that those people who are more discouraged and more disturbed about their lives are more likely to develop infections than those who are not. It's also possible that this persistent decrease in immune response may contribute in some way to the onset or progression of cancer. And what about those muscles that are tensing to fight or run? Well, it looks like a good deal of the aches and pains that we have, including tension headaches and chronic muscular problems, and perhaps even arthritis, may be related to this prolonged increased level of tension. Remember that during the fight or flight, the sexual activity is suppressed. Well, high levels of stress working through the endocrine system may contribute to both sexual dysfunction and infertility in women and men. They are also likely to be a significant factor in a variety of intestinal diseases, including the increasingly common irritable bowel syndrome. And beyond that, an intestine that is continually inhibited by stress is functioning poorly and is unlikely to be able to absorb the nutrients in our diet. Finally, if stress goes on long enough and we reach the stage of exhaustion, chronic fatigue and depression, and a heightened vulnerability to all subsequent kinds of physical and emotional stress will almost certainly be present. This theoretical perspective is borne out by the evidence. According to most estimates, at least 70% of all the illnesses we in America have are significantly related to stress. A recent World Health Organization study showed that depression, which is most definitely stress-related, is the leading cause of disability in the United States. It is significantly greater as a cause of disability than either heart disease or cancer. This is the bad news. There is, however, good news as well. What we've learned over the last 40 years is that the autonomic nervous system is not truly automatic and out of our control. And for that matter, neither are the immune and endocrine systems. The approaches, techniques, attitudes, and exercises of mind-body medicine are an antidote to the fight or flight response, and they balance the larger stress response. They prevent the consequences of chronic stress and can even reverse the damage that has already been done. One of the crucial ways in which they do it is through the activation of what cardiologist Herbert Benson has called the relaxation response.